the way the spots have been placed on the body is not like they are in a regular cat. They're segregated in certain areas on the limbs and around the face, and they look more like an image of a person who has put spots on their body. So it's this wonderful blending, this change from one type of being to another that's been encoded.
And what kind of spots, John, how can you describe for people? I mean, there will be images some people can see, but for people who are not looking at their MP3 player, how would you describe the coat of a jaguar as opposed to other spotted cats?
Well, the jaguar has rosettes, which are, to a certain degree, actually rings with a blurry outline. And inside those rings, some of them are hollow, and then some of them have dots. And it's variable. There may be one dot or there may be several dots. Different parts of the animal have different marking. The jaguar is a visually striking animal, and it's really most visually striking in its black form, melanistic form. This is, in the wild, a relatively rare phenomena. The cats may be completely black, or they may actually be sort of a charcoal color with the spot still visible. The gene, when it's expressed, is dominant, but it's incompletely dominant. So it can actually have sort of a partial expression. It's maybe something like 6% of the population. It seems to be more common in South America, and it may be more common in dense rainforests as well. Well, actually, we had a camera trap survey. The report came in just last week with a black adult and a black cub from the Talamanca range of Costa Rica. One of the things that's interesting is that the black jaguar can give birth to both black and spotted cubs, which would also seem to increase its sort of symbolic impression of potency.
I agree. I think that the black jaguar might have been the top type of jaguar for a shaman to turn into, precisely because the completely black ones would be so invisible during the night. We have images of them, in fact, from Costa Rica, from really basically the same area that you just had your
Oh, really? There's some
report.
objects in the collection?
Yes, we have a set of 4 pots from ancient Costa Rica that are black ware, which is in ceramics a type of technique, which is also difficult to achieve, and which is why I think it would have prestige to show a black animal in the black ware technique. Briefly, you put a regular colored pot that you have made into the fire. If you are good enough and you snuff out the fire, you reduce all the oxygen, and the soot from the fire deposits is sucked into the surface of the pot and makes it a shiny black color. So you've transformed the pot fundamentally from its light color to a dark color during this mysterious ritual firing.
And there's pictures of jaguars on these black pots?
Yes, and they very lightly and elusively on one of the pieces, which has 2 running jaguars. They're just an outline of the body of the jaguar with some spots in the middle. So the black of the pot and the black of the jaguar is the same black, showing that the jaguar is one with the night.
Now, these are on, like, vessels you're talking about?
Yes, these are bowls.
So would the bowls have been used in some kind of ritual associated with the turning into the jaguar?
Probably. We don't have any scientific evidence of what was put inside them. They could have held a brew, which can transport you into these other realms, which gives you the visions. And in fact, what's most interesting, these images of the black jaguars from this style combine a twisted pattern, like you take 2 strands and twist them together. One possibility is that illustrates a type of giant vine, which, when you turn it into a drink, does give you visions.
Really? And that vine is incorporated on the pot somewhere?
Yes, the tail in this pot that has just the incised jaguars, each of their tails turns into this twisted vine pattern.
Oh, so the decoration on the pot is like almost an instruction. This is how you do it.
Yes.
This is what you use to do it, and this is what happens after you do it.
That's right. You drink the twisted vine, and you become the black jaguar.
Wow, fascinating.
And on another pot, this twisted vine pattern is in between 2 images of jaguars. It's associated with almost all these images of black jaguars.
Wow.
The vine is called Banisteriopsis kaapi in South America, and there's a version of it that does occur in Costa Rica called Banisteriopsis inebrians.
And that vine still grows today?
Yes, it does.
So, John, this historical relationship of spirituality and jaguars in Central and South America, is this something that scientists and conservationists are using to maybe help in the area of contemporary relations with the jaguars in the areas and improving conservation efforts?
I think in certain places, in certain cultures, the symbolism helps. I think frequently we're actually forced to the pragmatics of people's livelihood and political and economic realities. The range of the jaguar has contracted about 50% in the last 100 years. The animal's gone from a symbol of power to the fact that it's actually very vulnerable. In a way, because it is so large, powerful, and it can have conflicts with people's domestic animals, it's actually more vulnerable than much less symbolic animals like armadillos or you name it. The conservation of jaguars maybe could be divided at this point into two. One is promoting the coexistence with jaguar, because there are people who live with jaguars. These may be indigenous groups, or it may be cattle ranching, which is probably an ever more prevalent land use in the area. And we need to work to promote coexistence with the jaguar. That's a challenge, but it is possible. And then the second part of that is that we need to make sure that there's still safe places for jaguars to live. So the big green spaces, the strongholds, places that are big enough that the cover that it uses for hiding and hunting is still there. So those are the two components that we need to work on in the present day: safe places and coexistence.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Rebecca, and thank you, John. That was fascinating.